Hello, everyone. We are here with David Worthen Brooks, and he is here to talk about a new film called Appendage that he's taking to South by Southwest, and we're so excited to have you. David, how are you, man?
I'm good. I'm good. Yeah, we're premiering tomorrow at 10 o'clock, and we're very excited to be here to be doing it at South by Southwest. It Appendage is a film that we at 20th Digital Studio made for Hulu, and it will drop on Hulu in the fall during their traditional Halloween season. So sometime in October, we're expecting it to actually be streaming. But at this point, we are just platforming it at festivals. It's playing at South by Southwest for the first time in front of an audience tomorrow. It will play. It's in the dramatic competition, I believe, and it will play here, and then next month it will play in New Orleans at the Overlook Festival, and we're not sure where else it will play, but we're basically platforming it all the way to the drop during Halloween.
Spectacular. And obviously, South by is the perfect place for this type of film to launch. I got the chance to check it out before. I don't know if I'm breaking embargo, but I loved it, and I thought it was wonderfully twisted and silly and great. But let's start off with how you started 20th Century Digital and how that became a platform for filmmakers. So, what was your goal when you started 20th Century Digital?
It's actually it's 20th Digital Studio.
Oh, okay. 20th Digital Studio. Forgive me.
Yeah, because not to be confused with various other studios under the now Disney umbrella. So 20th Digital Studio is basically I founded it in 2008. I previously had a boutique company that was doing digital work for Searchlight, and the then president of Searchlight suggested that maybe Fox at the time should take over the operation and bring it in, inside of this sort of massive media company, and see how it could grow. And we make in those 15 years we've made award-winning features, comedies, sci-fi, horror, and also documentary series, and a lot of shorts as well. And we've basically thrived in this digital space. I mean, when we started, having something on the web was kind of a joke. And now, obviously, it's the main place that people see stuff. So, in some ways, the digital moniker in our name is a bit antiquated now, because everything is digital. But it's our identity, and we started off with very sort of small budgets, because that's the way that the web was back then. And in order to sort of make interesting content with these small budgets, we scouted pretty aggressively all the film festivals, the film schools, looking for talents, emerging talent like the director of Appendage, Anna Slokovich. She when she came to us, she had a couple of shorts, and she pitched us a short called Appendage for Halloween 2021. And even before we'd finished even before she wrapped production on that, we knew that we wanted to be working with her on the larger version of it. She worked, I guess, through Christmas, and we came back with a script that then we were able to shoot in 22. So the short was shot probably in July of 21. She wrote the script. It dropped on Hulu on October 21. And it also played Sundance
Right. I was going to
at the
say,
beginning of
I
22.
thought I remembered it playing at Sundance
Yeah.
in 2021.
I think in 2022 the short played.
Okay.
And then we went into production in 22, I think in July again. And now here we are. I mean, in a very short time, we went from a short to a feature, from a first-time director in terms of a feature. So it's really kind of the model that we pursue at 20th Digital, is to bring bring new talent into the fold. I mean, we're really hoping that Anna's next movie goes, and it's with us. With the larger Disney community,
Yeah.
I mean, that's really the whole idea.
To me, the whole way that 20th Century Digital became a thing, and the way you got it working is fascinating. It's you found a niche and you found a source of income that fed from one another, and you built that to me blows my mind, and just like, it's amazing. So when you started 20th Century Digital, you had this goal in mind, and what I'd prefer you to enunciate or say what that goal was.
I'm not sure that I had a very clear goal in mind. I had a very clear challenge in mind, which was, how to make create an ongoing business in this, in this web space. And what quickly became clear was that that advertising and sponsorship was going to be an important part of it. And so actually, the Bite Size Halloween series, which is is coming in, would be in its 5th season this year. It was sponsored. The first 3 seasons were sponsored by Mars Candy. So basically, through an advertising relationship, we generated these opportunities for, at this point, I think we've made 85 shorts. So that's 85 new filmmakers, and we've made, from which we started making features in 2021. We shot our first feature, and we have now made 6 of them. And so it's, I think what I know that the first season of Bite Size, some of the shorts played in places like baseball playoffs. And so in one ad break, and they did really well. And so instead of having cut into commercials, it just cut to a short film, and that's what the audience saw. And I think it was an audience of 11.5 million people. So if you think about the route that a short filmmaker or a young filmmaker takes, or not even young, a new filmmaker, because we've worked with people who aren't of all ages, all walks of life, but the normal route of making a short film, it turns into a calling card, and you take it to submit it to some festivals. And I suppose at most prestigious, one of the most prestigious festivals, you're going to get 5 spins on it, and maybe that amounts to an audience of 1,000 people. And so it was just mind blowing when that particular short played to 11.5 million people, and then you look at the Twitter feed, and people are freaking out because it was kind of like ambush entertainment, because you're watching a baseball match. What you're expecting is trucks, beer, or chips,
or a goofy little commercial that has something quotable.
I guess yeah. So and instead, I mean, really, the film wasn't that scary, but it scared the living daylights out of the audience just because they weren't expecting it. And so as we looked at the Twitter, it was there was a lot of OMGs and WTFs, and what was that? And of course, an advertiser likes that as well. But the thing is, they're not commercials. They are, they started off as strictly 2-minute horror films, and then we gave latitude, and so that I think the longest one now is 12 minutes. But because sometimes you need a bit more time to have character development and understand the world. But what we saw in the first season when we got it done was that there were these 2-minute pitches for a bigger idea, for a monster, for a world that had been corrupted by XYZ type of factors, and they all kind of begged the question of like, well, what's going to happen next? So that first season was in 2017, and it took a little while to get scripts developed. We had pitches from all those filmmakers, and then we only had a limited number of slots to develop, and we developed a certain number of screenplays, and then we put this package together, and I took it to Hulu, and the slot that we fit into is kind of big shoes to fill, was the Jason Blumhouse had made a series called Into the Dark, and they'd done 2 seasons of that, and we basically became a replacement. I mean, I think Blumhouse is obviously amazing, and so I'm not sure it was so much competitive. I think that probably the logic was this is a company within our company, and so it makes more sense to it makes more sense to do business with ourselves. Could have been part of the reason why we got that. It could be that we had really great scripts. It could be that Blumhouse has got so many different things going on that maybe it was something that after 2 seasons they.
It could also have been the fact that the parent company was just like, cool, let's follow that model and foster new talent.
Yeah. Oh, and as we so in 2019 though, Fox Digital Studios became 20th Digital Studios. It became a Disney company, and as we were making that transition, we had to to take stock of what we'd achieved. I mean, we really just made a lot of stuff for over a period of 15 years. And
so, forgive me for interrupting, but what year was that? Like, you had started the studio and started doing bite-sized Halloween and started actually building a repertoire and kind of a model for cultivating talent. Then Disney comes in. So what year was that, and where was your headspace?
So in 2019, Disney bought maybe 75% of Fox and all the studios. And in those 9 years before that acquisition, 20 or what then was Fox Digital Studio had just made as much content as possible. We'd made 15 movies for Netflix. We'd made content for Xbox Live, and then there was always a new platform coming, like ABC3 was there. We made a premiere on that, a premiere show on that. We just had a sort of prolific output into that digital space. And as we were taking stock of what we'd achieved, I realized that what we'd done a lot of was launch people's careers. And so then I looked at the kind of people that whose careers we were launching. And as we came into Disney, we got got very familiar with the DE&I people, and we sort of doubled down on launching careers, but also looking for representation, looking for new voices, looking for people who, filmmakers who maybe weren't sort of natural shoo-ins with the system and the way the system works. And so, yeah, we've added that to the general flavor of what 20th Digital does and is.
When you're looking at these when you're fielding these submissions, what is it in particular that you're looking for? What hooks you? You're reading, say, you're reading a pitch, or somebody gives you a pitch. What is it that grabs you?
What we're looking for are basically three things. Is this sponsorable? Not all of them need to be sponsorable, but that's one consideration. Could it play on primetime TV? It's become less of a concern as we've moved from the world of 2017 to the world of 2023. Second is this a great short? Is it a story that captivates you and just holds your attention for the 2 to 10 minutes that it has, and then so does it work as a standalone short, and then does it set up the possibility of a larger execution? Yeah. And does it fit what the filmmaker has previously done? Anna Slokovich, who was the director of is the director of Appendage. What we'd basically seen from her was a couple of music videos. But they were beautifully executed, and they had this sort of beautiful composition of body horror that which made us go, okay, well, it's a music video, but still she's got a lot. And so then when she pitched Appendage, which is a body horror, the shorts, it all made sense. So we're looking at intrinsically in the material, those three things. So is it sponsorable? Is it a standalone short? Can it be expanded? And then the larger consideration is, does this fit with the work that we've already seen that attracted us to this filmmaker? Do we think that they can successfully execute?
Right. And it's not that it has to be the same type of thing, but it has to have the same soul. Because you're mentioning, that her previous work was just music videos. However, you picked up that there was a very strong body horror aesthetic and a visual aesthetic that she was able to continue.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. When we first started it was me going to Sundance and to South by and meeting all the filmmakers. And in the intervening years, a team has built up, and now which is the development team is led by Arby Pedrosian, who actually, he started off as an intern with me when it was my company, and now he's the VP of development at 20 Digital, and he has a very acute instincts about where a filmmaker is going with their career, the relevance of the particular story being told right now. Does it connect with the zeitgeist? I mean, he really has honed the scouting process into a fine art.
Yeah, and it definitely takes, as you mentioned, tapping into the zeitgeist, tapping in, and even forecasting what might be developing.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Appendage itself for a minute. So this developed from a short. Now you're finally bringing, this is your first feature within this business model, correct?
No, actually, there were two that were released in Halloween of 2022.
Oh, spectacular! What were they?
There was Matriarch, which was a body horror set in a sort of weird backward English village, and Grimcutty, which was a sort of social media social media ghoul that haunts unwitting kids.
Yeah. Excellent. Okay.
And so one was popcorn and one was more along the lines of a sort of an indie film, and they both actually overperformed against the metric of what we were measured by. Grimcutty, I believe in its first 10 days, it met the 10-week. Sorry, in its first 10 days, it met the 6-week audience projection, which we were just so blown away by. I mean, which had a lot to do with Hulu's marketing, the positioning on the platform, all of the elements just came together really well for that. And then Matriarch was, I think it's running at the moment at 85% on Rotten Tomatoes, which, for something like this, I mean, these are not expensive movies with big movie stars. I mean, we have great actors in them. Don't get me wrong. And
high expense doesn't mean quality. So
yeah, but I think extremely expensive movies get extremely expensive marketing as well, and get
fair, but
there's a return on investment that needs to happen, and what we're making are they have to be contained in order to make these opportunities really come to life. In order for my finance people to go, oh yeah, this is a risk that we're willing to take.
Well, so far your track record is pretty solid. So we have Appendage here coming, and that premieres when? Tomorrow, you said?
Yeah, tomorrow morning. Yeah,
tomorrow morning
at South by Southwest. I think it's at 10:15 it plays, and then it will play 3 or 4 more times during the week.
Well, if any of you are, I'm covering remotely, unfortunately. I would love to be there on the ground. You actually literally just sat down in your hotel room and did this interview. So thank you for doing it. But if anybody is there, make sure to check out Appendage, because it is some fun stuff. But I mean, what have the initial responses from other people been that you've kind of tested it with?
Oh, people love this movie. I mean, because it's a combination. It's a monster movie. It's a body horror. It's dealing with a young woman's a nervous breakdown, and it's done with a very wry sense of humor, which we just I think everybody who's seen it so far has loved it. But it goes out into the world tomorrow, and we'll begin to see for real what how people are going to react.
Well,
but yeah, we're very, very excited about it.
Well, honestly, I expect some very positive reactions because it was way too much fun. Yeah, so all that I have to say is thank you so much for taking the time
Absolutely.
to speak with me, to talk about the process that you've gone through to build what you built, the business end of it, but also the care that you put into cultivating creative forces. So thank you for doing that. Thank you for being a champion of new filmmakers as well.
Norman, thank you so much for making this a wonderful experience.
Everybody, check out Appendage, and that is playing at South by, and it's coming to Hulu this Halloween, correct?
Yep.
Awesome. All right. Well, again, David, thank you so much for your time. Best of luck on the screenings, and get some rest. You're going to need it. It's a big festival.
Thanks. All right.
All right, man. Take care.
Bye now.